Despite putting in a lot of good performances, why are Indian women cricketers still dropped from the Indian team?
What's astonishing is the fact that since December of 2023, the Indian women's team have played 23 ODIs in which there have been 17 debutants. Now, this is astonishing because if you were to look at the benchmark, which is the Australian team, in the same time period they've played 18 ODIs and just had one debut. But even if you compare the Indian team to every other team in the world, they're the only team to debut more than 10 plus players. Now, this says two things about the Indian squad. Number one is the fact that they haven't been able to fix a playing 11, and second, because of the numbers, it almost seems like there has been a lot of changing and chopping. Now, before we get more into detailed about this and use a very interesting case study, hit that subscribe button.
While there are a lot of Indian players who've been handed their debuts not only at young ages but from there have also been playing a couple of ODIs, done well but have still gotten dropped, a very important example that we'll take for the course of this video is Radha Yadav. Like a lot of girls in the country who are aspiring cricketers, Radha Yadav too started off at a very early age. At the age of just 12, she was already a part of Mumbai's under-19 squad, and from there, as the years progressed, she went on to play important roles, firstly for Mumbai and then for Baroda. At the age of just 16, she was captain not only of the under-19 Baroda setup but also of the under-23 Baroda setup. From there, it is no secret that she went on to make her India debut at a very young age of just 17. And in a fashion similar to a lot of Indian debutants who start off at a very early age, Radha Yadav also struggled to put in performances in her first two games where she went wicketless. However, despite this, she came back a month later in March of 2018 to do well against Australia as well as England. And that's where her career started. In fact, Radha Yadav has been a constant in the T20 outfit when it comes to the Indian team. From the time of her debut, she has been the second highest wicket taker in the 84 matches that she's played for India. She's taken 97 wickets at an economy of 6.6, and in 2019 she was also second on the ICC bowlers rankings in T20 cricket. Even since Jan 2024, she's continued to do well. She's still the second highest wicket taker in this period for India in T20 cricket. In the 17 matches that she's played in this period, she's got 29 wickets, which is the second highest, and not only that, she's also had the best bowling average of just 13.7.
But of course, her career wasn't without ebbs and flows. She was a regular in the T20 squad since her debut, but from 2022 until the 2023 T20 World Cup, she played 27 games, picked up only 16 wickets with an economy of 6.8. Not only was she slightly expensive, but she was struggling to pick up wickets. Even in the last T20 World Cup, she picked up only 3 wickets in 4 games with an average of 30.3. And this wasn't it. Even in the WPL of 2023, she struggled quite a bit. She struggled with accuracy, being consistent with her line and lengths, and was leaking a lot of runs. She had an economy of 7.2, picking up just 4 wickets in 9 games. But there was a shift in the 2024 season. In the WPL of 2024, she played 9 matches, picked up 10 wickets with an economy of 7.4. It's not the most impressive numbers, but the fact that she was back to taking wickets says something. And this performance ensured that she was back into the Indian squad after 13 months against Bangladesh, where not only did she perform extremely well, she was also the player of the series. In 5 matches, she picked up 10 wickets with an economy of 5.05. Here you can see that not only was she able to pick up wickets, but she was also not conceding a lot of runs.
Of course, this isn't success that happened overnight and something that Radha Yadav had to work towards. And the change that happened and something that she's spoken about is how she firstly got control of her emotions, was a lot more level-headed. But even apart from that, on a technical standpoint, she was varying her pace a lot more and was bowling different lines. One of the biggest changes that was observed from the WPL of 2023 to the WPL of 2024 was that Radha Yadav was looking to bowl a lot less in the batter's arc and making it tough for them to hit. She was ready to bowl lines other than just the stump line. This is also evident in terms of percentages, as if you have a look at the Beehive in 2023, 38.5% of her deliveries were at the stumps. Whereas in the WPL of 2024, not only was she slowing up her pace a lot more, but if you look at her Beehive here, she's only bowled around 25% of her deliveries on the stumps. This is the gameplay that she also took into her series against Bangladesh, where she got a lot of batters out-stumped by looping the ball and also having it balled outside the off-stump itself.
Now, in the last T20 series that she did play for the Indian team, it was against the West Indies, where she played 3 T20Is. She was the highest wicket taker of the series, where she picked up 6 wickets in total with an economy of 8.4. This included a 4-for in the last game of the series. Not just this, right? In the last 10 T20Is, she picked up 16 wickets, which means she was able to take wickets, but she gave away 6.8 runs runs per over. The point is that since her debut, she's been the second highest wicket taker for the Indian team in T20Is. Since 2024, she's been the second highest wicket taker for the Indian team, yet she doesn't find a place in the T20 squad.
And for someone who's known to be a T20 specialist, obviously Radha Yadav has played a very few number of ODIs, having played just 7 ODIs in which she's picked up 8 wickets. However, what's interesting is that in these 8 wickets that she's gotten, 7 wickets came in the last series that she played, where she picked up a 3-4 and a 4-4 against New Zealand. And despite her being able to show her adaptability and performing well in the last couple of ODIs that she did play, she still finds no place in that ODI squad. Now, while she has been the second highest wicket taker for the Indian team in T20s, what's also important to note is that she's been the most expensive spinner for India. Going at 6.6 runs to the over, while she has been getting wickets, she's also been leaking runs. And even in the WPL of 2025, it was her least impressive season, where she got just 2 games, and in that she only got to bowl 2 overs in a single game, where she went at 13 runs to the over. And so despite all of the performances that she's put in, one of the reasons why we think she could have been dropped from an Indian setup is simply because of the fact that while she is getting wickets, there is a price that she's paying for these wickets, and that is her being extremely expensive. Now, while this is one of the rationalizations that we could come up with as for why Radha Yadav was dropped, this is no reason to drop a player, especially when you know that she's consistently turning up and putting in the performances and getting a lot of wickets. However, this also isn't surprising because this is a trend that we've seen with a lot of players in the Indian women's setup. And this is where we'll have a look at the bigger picture, which is a lot of Indian women players being dropped despite putting in performances.
We've taken a few examples since December of 2023 where there have been 17 debutants for the Indian team. The first standout example is in the form of Arundhati Reddy. She was India's joint highest wicket taker in the last T20 World Cup, picking 7 wickets in 4 games, and not just this, in this ODI series that was to follow against Australia, she only played the 3rd ODI, yet after the end of the series, she was the highest wicket taker for the Indian team, where in that match she picked up 4 wickets, giving away just 26 runs in her 10 overs. And the fact that despite this performance in that one game she got in the series and the T20 World Cup that she played beforehand, she was dropped right after against the West Indies and found no place in either of the squad.
And from there, even if we have a look at it more recently, in the recently concluded tri-series against Sri Lanka as well as South Africa, there too there were a lot of players who were dropped without any reason. The first of these examples is Priya Mishra, who played 2 matches against Ireland where she got 4 wickets, but she did go for 5.7 runs to the over, which was the most expensive. The next name is Saili Sadgare, who featured in all 3 matches in that Ireland series. She got 3 wickets at 4.6 runs to the over, and these were decent enough figures for her to have not been dropped. Apart from that, Tanuja Kanwar as well as Minumani also featured in 1 game apiece, where they got 2 wickets and 1 wicket apiece. A very clear pattern emerges here, and that's India's lookout for a perfect bowling unit. What has seemed to happen is that only Deepti Sharma and Renuka Singh Thakur have been constants. Renuka Singh Thakur, of course, is injured at the moment, but apart from this, the rest of the bowlers have been playing musical chairs, and you really don't know which bowlers are going to be featured or picked or dropped for that matter in the series that happen. And these players don't even get a long enough rope. In fact, of all of the debutants that we've spoken about, only Saima Thakur and Pratika Rawal are the players who've played at least 10 games. Now, while of course there have been a lot of unexplained chopping and changing happening in the Indian squad, we also need to consider the fact that there are a lot of injuries that are occurring at the same period.
It almost feels like they're in desperate need to find the next Julian Goswami or a Jasprit Bumrah, except with all this chopping and changing, you're only going to have an unsettled bowling unit. And this is a big problem heading into the World Cup, because not only do you have a bowling unit with insecurities because they don't know if they're going to be picked or dropped, but you also haven't given them enough matches heading into the World Cup to have enough experience to play in different situations. So the Indian management and the team will have to make sure the series against England and possibly Australia after, before heading into the World Cup, they not only get an idea of a bowling unit, but make sure they're consistent with their picks, not just with their 11s but also the 15s. This will be something very important for the Indian team to keep in mind. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, like, share and subscribe, all that good stuff. All of our links are in the description below. Let us know what you think the bowling unit of the Indian team should look like. If you haven't followed us on our socials, all of our links are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.